you so much to those of you who have already decided to support my mom. But I hope that you'll ask questions too, because I hope that you're talking to your friends and your families and your classmates about why you believe in my mom. And I'm sure you're hearing back questions from them about why they should support my mom. So please ask those questions so I can help you be the best advocate that you can be for my mom. There have also been 20 debates among the Democrats now. I know people are always like, wow, 20. But there have been 20 debates, and hopefully there'll be another one here in Pennsylvania. But please also go online so you can hear from the candidates themselves directly, address the issues that are important to you. Please go to my mom's website, hillaryclinton.com, so you can see both her vision for our country, but also what her specific policies and plans are to help us get there. So his question was that he thinks that one of the things that's really driving up our healthcare costs are that there are a lot of illegal immigrants who go into our healthcare system who can't pay or ever be found to pay for the care they receive. Well, a number of things drive up our healthcare costs. What you cite is one of the factors. A larger factor, actually, the Americans who are uninsured, who go into the system and go into the emergency room and get care that they cannot pay for. Another source of real medical cost inflation in our country is how expensive drugs are and how much more expensive drugs get every year. And one of the things that we didn't talk about in my mom's healthcare plan is what she wants to do to ensure that our drug costs go down for all of us, which is to actually empower the government through Medicare, through Medicaid, and through the Congressional Healthcare Plan to actually negotiate drug discounts. Walmart can negotiate drug discounts for its employees. The VA negotiates drug discounts for our veterans. But the government has never actually taken advantage of how much purchasing power it has for the number of people who are insured, either through Medicare or Medicaid or under the Congressional Health Care Plan today. So if we really want to get drug costs down and control that part of medical cost inflation, we know that we should be getting a volume discount, and that's good for all of us. But on your question, which is one of, but a smaller contributor to medical cost inflation, it's one of the many reasons my mom believes we need to have comprehensive immigration reform. And what does that mean? Well, it means we also need to do what we need to do for our security. Whenever my mom is talking about immigration reform, it's never just about immigration reform, it's also about what we need to do to protect ourselves. Now, I don't know how many of you saw the debate in New Hampshire in January, but ABC was really proud that one of its reporters had snuck in 2 suitcases full of potentially dangerous material, one through the port of Long Beach in California and one through the port of New York. We still don't know what is coming into our country. 15 of the 19 hijackers on September 11th had come here legally, many of whom were here illegally because they'd overstayed student visas or they'd overstayed work permits, but they'd come here legally, some of whom we even had suspicions about, but we couldn't find them. We don't know who is coming here legally or illegally. We have no mechanism for keeping track of who's coming in or out of our country. We have never fully funded the bipartisan September 11th Commission report recommendations around what we need to do for our border security, our northern border, our southern border, our ports, our airports. That's just not been a priority of our government. But we know that we need to do that so that we're actually finally protecting ourselves. But she also supports comprehensive immigration reform. Well, what does that mean? Well, inviting out of the shadows the 12 to 14 million people who are here illegally and registering them and saying if you've committed a crime in this country or your home country, you'll be deported. But if you've been here working, contributing to our economy, like the vast majority of people who are here, you'll pay a fine for coming here illegally. And those of you who haven't been paying taxes will have to pay back taxes as a percentage of your income going forward so that people are paying to support our public schools and our emergency rooms and our police departments and our fire departments. But that you'll be on a path to earn citizenship, standing in line behind people who came here legally, and also simultaneously cracking down aggressively on employers who exploit undocumented workers. That's not good for the people being exploited, obviously, but that's also not good for Americans who are competing on unequal wage expectations or unequal environmental and labor safety expectations. And then one thing that my mom has proposed that's distinctive to her plan is to have a moratorium on new trade agreements so that we can open the trade agreements that we have to make sure that they do adequately protect our labor rights. Also that they protect our public health and safety standards so that we never have another instance of an American company exploiting lower standards in another country to make toys that have been contaminated with lead paint that we then import into our country. So it's also about our physical security, again, and then making sure that we have a trade prosecutor who enforces our trade agreements. Because one of the tragedies of this administration, among the many tragedies of this administration, is that it hasn't even enforced the agreements that we have. Trade enforcement is a little less than 25% under this administration of what it was in the 90s. So we need a president who is standing up for stronger trade language, but also then enforcing it. That'll also help create better jobs to our southern border so that we're standing up for labor and helping encourage a better type of development as well in countries to our south and around the world. But what you mentioned is important. You know, if we're really going to make sure that we're doing the right thing in universal health care coverage and making sure we're right-sizing our public school system, we're standing up for every child who's here's right to live up to his or her God-given potential, we need to know who's here. So it is a matter of making sure that we're honoring our system and being a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants, and also that we're doing the right thing for our security. So yeah, thank you for your question. So thank you all for having me. If you have more specific questions, please go on to hillaryclinton.com. If you haven't registered to vote and you're not registered here, please register by the 23rd or switch your registration. And please vote on the 22nd of April. And I hope that you all vote for my mom. Thank you very much.